You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.
We're live!
It works! And it's fancy! Haha!
Let me scooch my chair down so you can see the top of my head. There we go.
Well, I can fix that.
I'm all pretty in my red shirt.
Wait, no, I actually can't.
Well,
oh my God, you're so pretty.
I know somebody's got to do it. So we've got an interesting show here today. We have a lot of guests. I really want to thank everybody for being here. Last time we did the show, of course, last week it was me and Boat and a crew of misfits, including the Grand Nagus who visited us, and CCP Loki. That was a fantastic show in the hall. I want to thank everybody for making that happen. I was afraid we wouldn't be able to do it. Hilda for 44 months. Goddamn. Yes, and it is the return of the red shirt. A major Vegas moment. We'll be talking about a lot of things. We've got a shitload of things to go over today. There's a lot of news that came out of Vegas from a CCP perspective. There's a lot of galactic stuff happening. Yeah. People resetting each other. People going to war. Chaos, drama, and getting Kathy Iron to actually unbutton the top button of his shirt when he was in Vegas, so he could actually, like, you know,
relax,
wear a button-down shirt properly.
Normal. Yeah, thanks.
Vegas, that was a big one. Mad Viking, 25. Yes. Thank you very much.
So our guest today, for those... Oh, hey, Shigley! Speaking of Shigley, 25 months. Thank you, Shigley.
Carbon Fleet is recruiting.
He's right here. It's great. So, guests today, we actually found us some amazing guests. I convinced Kendar to grace us with his amazing presence. So Kendar's here, and he's going to talk about some things. We've got Villy here. And he's going to talk about some things, and I'll let them introduce themselves. And then we've also got Hyper Viper and Shigley here. Hyper Viper, as a lot of people may not know, was the guy that set up the Vegas dinner party and is an Eve Spy guy, and he'll tell everything about who he is.
Let's see, we got Blob, we got here. Master Tacticus. Wow, we've got lots of subs. Thank you.
So yeah, we got some really amazing guests, and we're having an amazing show that's totally not planned because our producer still isn't around. He's dead. Oh no.
We're winging it.
Yes.
We're winging it.
Don't lie.
Okay, so you know, I really want to start off, like, you know, one of the challenges about talking about Vegas, and I want to tell people that are tuning in here what they can expect from this part of the show. You know, if you weren't at Vegas, you're not going to want to hear a whole bunch of stuff about, oh my God, all this crap happened in Vegas and you weren't there. So I don't want to turn this into just like a big circle jerk of the cool kids that were at Vegas. I highly recommend it for next year if you haven't had a chance to go. If you can make it, it's well worth it. But conveniently, for us and for all of our viewers, there was a lot of news announced at Vegas from CCP. A lot of things came out. There's a lot to go over. And I'm actually going to throw this to Villy in a potentially unexpected way. From somebody who did not actually attend Vegas, what was your take on CCP's announcements, and what do you think are going to be the biggest and most impactful changes for the game?
All right, so my take on CCP's announcements during Vegas. I would say, dear God, they need to find somebody who knows how to balance this game and actually give them some power. Take it away from whoever the fuck they're giving it to right now.
You know it's Hilmar, right?
Dear God. Sure. Like, because holy shit, I have never been more, like, I don't want to say underwhelmed, but, like, just disappointed, but not in, like, the stuff they're doing, but in, like, their ability to understand their own game.
Interesting.
Aside from that, like, Hilmar, could you know, please clap? Was a great moment. I remember watching that one on stream. Certainly the alternative games were exciting if I had any interest in playing them. Their shooter looked okay. You know, Eve Vegas is now FanFest, I guess, and they wanted to hit those notes, but they didn't give us a cool trailer, so yay. That was kind of my view of it. I don't know, I wasn't there. Obviously, you don't have the alcohol to make everything a little smoother, but what I saw, it was just not impressive, not interesting, just yuck.
I mean, you say you didn't have the alcohol to make it smoother, but technically couldn't you have had a lot better things that maybe we couldn't have had while we were at the venue?
What do you mean?
Like, you could have just enjoyed anything. You were at home, right? You didn't have to like sit next to a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, I guess so. But
so I want to talk about the disappointment.
Yeah, so please tell us. Go ahead.
Let's kind of zero in here. Like you said that there were things that disappointed you in particular. I'm curious, of the things that you had seen, like which was it that really struck you as, oh my god, please balance this game? Like what in particular was it that was...
Basically every part of the new soft structures would probably be the big one, since those are the ones that are going to really affect our day-to-day for the future. The new Triglavian ships look like garbage for the most part. What was the other one? Was there even a third thing they announced? Like every one of the soft structures, like, I mean, the Sino beacon, sure, that's fine. But like, saw the jump bridges, I'm like, oh god, this is so fucking broken.
Okay.
I mean, they've now fixed the fact that capitals can use them. Shocking.
Was that what's broken?
The new Sino jammers look... What?
Was that why they were broken? Hold on. You're saying a lot of cool stuff.
The ability to fatiguelessly jump with supers and capitals through space
was the single greatest thing they could ever come up with.
Like literally within 10 minutes of like the presentation, I had gone through Legacy Space and like organized it, set up an entire route of like how I was gonna like set it up, and I'm like, this is broken, like fully broken. There was no way that if that made it to live that it was going to be good for the game.
Well, why wouldn't it be good? I mean, think about it. Like, you have to take risks to own space, right? You have to put a lot of investment into it. Like, this benefits people that put like work into owning a home. So how could it be? Like, I know there was a few people. I think ProGod Legend was one that said that he thought it was really busted. So did Celine. But like, for someone who lives in the space and actually uses their space, especially space as big as yours. I mean, you guys own from the tips.
I would absolutely love it both, but because I would love it does not mean it's not entirely broken. The ability for me to move a super capital fleet from the bottom of Paragon Sol to the top of Catch in 15 minutes would be incredibly, pleasant for me. But what it would represent for the game, and what it would represent for every other entity in EVE, and the fortification of my position and the position of any entity that's got even a remotely decent-sized super capital force, it would just not be a good thing.
Yeah, well, the reason I asked that is there was a very more knowledgeable person about jump fuel, and his comment on it is that it'd be like a once-in-a-6-month thing because of just how much fuel it would have required to move all those ships. That it would just be an astronomically high amount, that it would never happen unless you really prepare.
Because you use liquid ozone, which currently sells for in most
but it's just the amounts of it.
6 ISK.
Oh,
I would really. It's mainly about the Titan.
Yeah, someone said it would
freighters you'd have to be using to shove in there, but it doesn't matter, right? Like this is one of the
things. They took it away. Sad.
I was asked this on the Fireside Chat, and it's something that comes up a lot. Is that whenever CCP announces anything, my first reaction is to not comment on it, at least for a couple of weeks. I mean, I'll run on my mouth on it here on the Meta Show, but like not take it seriously and do. I mean, what Villy did was go and immediately map out a jump bridge network and how he'd use it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to have some more beers here while I'm in Vegas because surely it's going to change radically by the time it gets anywhere near the server. And that's exactly it. Like, people were like, what the fuck? What do you mean you can even try to move Titans and Supers through it? And they changed that just days later.
Yeah, the original numbers I was given didn't include, or the presentation didn't mention, liquid ozone ratios, etc. So it wasn't part of my, this is broken evaluation.
When it hit the test server, it was 3 freighters per Titan worth of ozone.
Yeah, so we because the group in GSF that you're on about were theorizing how much it would take to move like a full fleet of 250 Titans from Delve up towards Cloud Ring, and they were estimating like 30 to 40 regular freighters and suggesting it will never be done because it's a logistical nightmare.
Perfect! Great segue opportunity. Kendar, you weren't in Vegas. Tell us what you thought.
Well, I'm quite on the fence about a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I've done in the history of EVE, and it often revolves around jump bridges or hostile jump bridges. And the fact now that they can anchor flex structures, that's the jump bridges or the gate, on grid with a structure in gun range, I don't like that. granted, Citadels aren't super strong, but obviously if it's on a keep star grid, it's pretty powerful. Jammers as well is a big issue. You know, quite a lot of big things you think about going into a fight these days is how is this Citadel fit that I'm fighting over? Okay, it's cap fit. They're pretty powerful when they're cap fit.
Yeah.
You're not going to drop dreads on a jammer if it's got a cap fit keep star sat behind it.
Yeah, it's a valid thing. One of the scare moments, and maybe you can comment on this, is I think it was ProGod that said having 3 of them per system meant you could play a juggle game if you had like a good logistics core that could literally keep one online at all times because of the damage cap. What did you think about the fact that they damage capped it like they did?
Yeah, again, it's why I'm like on the fence about it. I don't compared to. I can respect why they want the damage cap in there because they want people to stop obviously blobbing stuff, but at the same time, and they want the defenders time to form up and defend it. But I'm not sure it's really the right way to go with jammers specifically. But we'll wait and see. Adapt or die, right?
Yeah, like I don't think that'll make live. I don't think having 3 of them or the damage cap being so low will make live because the way it's worded right now, it would take literally a whole fleet just to shoot one of them, and it still takes so long to kill. So, like the jump bridges, I think there's a lot of tweaks that will have to come. One thing I will say is someone who was at Vegas, I did get to chat with some people in the know, and they said there was a few things on that balance slide that were shocks to CCP Rise. Like, he didn't know they were being put on there. So he was kind of presenting things that he wasn't 100% sure of, because he didn't know if it was going to be there in time. And there was also some things that they didn't include, like Titan changes that they've been talking about for the last few months. So there are still more to come, which I'm excited about.
I don't know. The entire thing is sort of a hot mess, right? Like we have, I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I was happy to see that they're adding more Travalgan ships. One of the things that I do like to see is more variety in EVE when it comes to styles of ships. And, you know, it's ultimately a spaceship game. I might not fly too many of them in person in the game itself, but I really like them getting away from the 4 major racial factions and just going like, you know what, we're just going to make up an entire different class of ships and make them look cool and do some stuff. So I'd like to see more of that.
I'll be honest for a sec. Sorry, I did forget something. I think the 3-person frigate abyssal things are so cool, and it's such a great thing to add.
Oh,
I was really happy with that. I think that's incredibly
multiplayer
good
instances.
Content.
You mean?
Yeah, the 3-person frigate abyssals. Yeah, I think the arena is terrible, but I think the 3-person frigate abyssal sites will be really, really good because bring your friends, 2 or 3 dudes. You know, even if you're a new player, like 3-person abyssal, you can probably do 2, 3, 4s with like next to no SPs. Because the big thing with abyssals right now is you need like 2 billion ISK to like reliably do T5s, like at minimum, right? It's like the setup, and that's not just like you basically need a near perfect skilled character to do it too. Like the setup for current like high-end abyssals is so like insane. Like you basically need to be able to like super carry your rat like level. So it's really high, and I think the frigate abyssals are a really great step. I think the Triglavian ships were pre-nerfed, which is unfortunate. I wish they would kind of go with Riot's philosophy of like pre-buff everything when they release it and then nerf it like a month later, because in EVE that's enough to kind of let things settle. And I'm serious about that. Like I think it'd be nice if the ships were at least good enough to fly to start.
That's one of those things where, like, if they actually had a track record of being able to nerf something a month after it was released, it would be one thing, as opposed to like releasing it and then like maybe 2 years later you'll get a balance patch.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be scared of, you know, sort of the Riot system where, you know, every new person in LoL that comes out is always like the bestest best that ever did best. But Riot at least will then nerf and adjust things. You don't really necessarily see that in EVE, but I don't know. Let's see, what else do we have going
so
on?
we have a lot of
cover
things.
all the major things from Vegas?
No, I've got a major thing. So this, you like Steve Messner. I think Steve Messner's a pretty good guy. But I read an article of his this week that was shocking to see the caption, like the headline.
He beat the crap out
There's a Project Nova headline.
Nova, yeah.
To read the headline, if you don't want to click the link, compared to Dust, EVE Online's new FPS is boring and unambitious. I did not get that from what I saw. So, I'm curious of what, like, say, Hyper Viper and Shingley here, you guys were there in Silver Mittens. I did not get that opinion from Vegas. So, what do you guys think?
I mean, the shooter looked interesting. It's kind of a neat idea to play on with the ship, being able to see the ships and being on basically the holes and trying to intercept it. It's a neat idea. I didn't think it was too odd. I think, there's so many shooters out there these days that, it's all kind of rehashes to one extent or another. I think the Dust was interesting with the integration, but obviously, like, the issues with, improving it, making better, and just not having a PC release kind of screwed with it a bit.
One of the things that was like a takeaway for me regarding Nova is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I watched the alpha build played, I did not actually play it myself, but one of the things I really enjoyed about Dust was the fact that even when you weren't playing Dust, you could diddle with your fittings, right? Like you could have your own individual unique fittings. And I think for this alpha build, they just had like preset classes.
Yes, cookie cutter. Yes, very cookie cutter. They said the weapons will eventually allow you to change, but it reminded me of a game we played where a bunch of goons played this back in the day. It was almost like a capture the flag game that involved you going really, really, really fast in like a first-person shooter. Tribes. Maybe it was Tribes. Yeah, that's the one. That's what it felt like with the classes. You had like the scout guy who could snipe and jump on things, and then you had like the infiltrator, and then like it felt like Tribes, the way the classes were pre-designed.
Well, Saren is saying here, and he was working as a reporter there, that they're not final and they'll be customizable once it's released.
They did say that. They did say that.
And I believe that. So, like, one of the things to keep in mind about games journalism is that, again, like Boat was saying, Steve Messner has been around a lot, and it was kind of surprising to see that headline. One of the things that I learned from the Batania.com and from when I was working for Tinton Hammer as a columnist is that a lot of times you as a writer don't have control of the headline. A lot of times the headline is written by the editor. So we don't actually know. The headline was very scathing. We don't know if that was something that that Messner chose. Obviously, he was not too impressed with the game. I think the headline fit the article. But, you just never know. It was an alpha.
We just got some breaking news.
Oh dear.
John Hartley just linked us an image. I'll relink it for everyone to see in case you didn't see it. He is so attractive that somebody slammed into his farm tractor and looks like it totaled it, and the car is completely totaled. So he says he's okay, but yeah, holy shit.
I hope everybody there.
Weeks ago. Right. Why did he make it out like it just happened then? Damn it.
Not breaking news. Not breaking news at all.
Anyway, but he shared the images, and that car is
something
all
got broken in the news. Just happened.
A car crashed somewhere in
God damn it. Well, anyways, John Hartley's a cool guy, and I was worried about him, and he linked that, and I was like, holy shit.
John is a good guy.
Yeah, so, an interesting thing, though, about that game mode, and since we're on the topic of that game, I thought the idea of capture the ship is amazing. And there were also some other hints about, like, tying this to your EVE account, and then when you capture the ship, you and your buddies, that you get to own it, so then you can then sell it or do something with it that way in EVE, which I thought would be really awesome. So, like, you could basically hijack, like a Megatron, and then boom, you own a Megatron now, which I think would be cool as fuck.
Well, yeah, I think that's, the pipe dream that we always had with walking in stations, be able to go into somebody else's crew quarters and stab them, take their ship, or steal stuff. I really would hope they integrate some stuff between the Nova and the EVE client, because that just help with immersion. I think it'll tickle that fancy of people. Maybe they can bring their own avatars into it from EVE.
I mean, let's be honest. The only people going to play Nova are, in the vast majority, the same thing that happened with Dust, is people who play EVE, right? Like, it looks like most FPSs nowadays, it's very well done in the graphic department, like other FPSs, and it is unique in the sense that it has spaceships, but it's an FPS, and there's a lot of them. So the people that are going to play it are going to be the EVE people. So if you can find a way to do that tie-in, I think that would be absolutely amazing.
Oh, and then you get the Battle Royals.
With that being said, Boat, if the game you make is superior to the games on the market, if it's more fun to play, if it's more interesting, if it's more technical, and if it's a better game, over time, people will play a better game than a shittier game. You know, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people
yeah.
playing Overwatch right now. A lot of people playing Call of Duty 27, or you know,
No,
the
yeah,
other-
the Battle Royale one. Yeah, yeah.
like all these games have Battlefield is what I was looking for. But all these games have large amounts of followers, but they will play better games if there's better games to play. And if the EVE FPS is actually good, if it's fun, if it has interesting objectives and challenges, and it has a sense of scale and scope to it, people will play that over other random shit.
Sounds like a major gamble.
Oh yeah, it's a
Yeah.
major gamble because CCP is terrible at advertising generally, and they're not very good at necessarily making the greatest of games and balancing them and doing the things you need to do.
CCP
be a successful-
Shills. Hopefully we've got a live one in chat. It's been a while since I got to shoot somebody. But yeah, I don't know. Like
Look,
one of the
I-
biggest mistakes with Dust was the fact that Dust was released on the PS3. Right, the core market for any EVE tie-in game was always going to be the PC playing EVE player base. If they had not bit on the exclusivity agreement with Sony and gone for a PC release, Dust would probably still be here today. It would have been most likely profitable. And they would have been able to add new things to it. The real question is, what is like the development cost of Project Nova? Did they announce whether it's going to be like free to play? I mean, I sort of assume things are
They
free
did
to play in
not
this day and age.
say that, but they said that everyone has access to the alpha by signing up, and anyone that went to Vegas automatically got it. And also, I stole your Commissar because I got to. He said, "Come
God
out."
damn it.
I mean, I had to do it. Sorry.
Alas.
Anyway, no, they did not announce that. No, but who knows?
Yeah, because it's an alpha, they're not going to say what the business model is going to be. But the thing is that even if it's like a niche title that has some degree of dedication for the people who are really into like the CCP IP, I think that there's a lot more opportunity for success there, simply because there's a crossover with the market. Like trying to get a game where you've got a lot of PC-based fans to then buy a PS3 and play on console was just never going to work very well. So I think that Project Nova at least has a bunch of people who will at least give it a try, depending upon the price point when it's released.
Yeah, if they make it free to play, and I want to see what Shingley thinks, since he hasn't talked much. If they make it free to play, like most modern FPSs have been for computer, free to play with cosmetic purchases and like little things like that, or maybe even if they do, I mean, because they did talk about having like a level up system. Even if you level up faster, if you have a subscription, like all other games in the market today, even EVE, compared to leveling up slower, that'd be fine. Like things like that would be great because they're gonna make their money, and I'll still play because it's free. Like loot boxes, yeah. All right, go ahead, Shingley. Sorry.
I think the biggest sort of competition they're going to have. So they were talking about having this whole PvE aspect with like procedurally generated maps and whatnot, which sounds a lot like Warframe, and also like some bits of Destiny. And I think if they have a free-to-play game, their biggest competition is going to be Warframe, and they're going to have some kind of, I guess, selling point that would make people more interested in playing the game over something like Warframe instead of those games. Particularly with the whole, Warframe can be pretty expensive if you're all incredibly grindy, one of the two.
I know.
Yeah, so they're going to have to make sure that that's something that people are actually going to have fun playing, rather than, the very, very small sort of core of people who might be interested in dumping hundreds of hours into grinding for items or whatever.
It's an interesting idea that Shirar just put in there as a joke about CCP should add EVE loot boxes with a chance of dropping a Titan. But I think there are opportunities for cross promotion there. I wouldn't want to see them giving away any like super fancy ships or anything. But if like people are, if you're able to like win a mission in this game and like everybody gets a cruiser or a frigate or something that might be useful, or you get a skin, like you actually get a chance. You see this with Blizzard, like Blizzard will give away stuff. Oh, you played Hearthstone, so you get a Hearth steed that you can ride in WoW. These can even be just like cosmetic things. But if you have another funnel for players joining the game and then trying out EVE or vice versa, I think that would be pretty cool.
Well, you got to understand, Shirar's comment is directly related to Shirar, because every time we play games with Shirar, and I love Shirar, he's great. He's one of those whales that goes, I don't want to grind, so I will buy $1,000 loot boxes, and now I'm playing the game.
Oh.
So for him, he'll buy all the loot boxes and get himself a Titan, and that's why he made that comment, because that's the kind of awesome guy he is.
Yeah,
Um,
Saren
whole-
pointed out here that the skins were specifically called out as a possible cross-platform
Yeah.
promotion. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that
I
would
think
be really neat.
the other nice thing would be that because it's on PC, if Nova is successful and it does draw in people, and through word of mouth, or if CCP managed to get their shit together promotion, and it does become popular, and they have this cross promotion thing, we could also hopefully maybe see a lot of other influx of players from this new crowd that might try out Nova, seeing what this whole Eve thing is about, and vice versa.
Yeah, it looks exciting. To the guys that say we're shills for CCP here, no, because the next conversational topic is I heard a rumor that Vegas next year will be at the Flamingo, which I will say right now is 1,000 times better than the Link in every way. I've been to the Flamingo. I've seen all the different places of the Flamingo. As you travel from the Cosmopolitan, which is an amazing hotel, I recommend staying there, to the Flamingo or to the Link, you have to go through the Flamingo, and the Flamingo is just way better.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it being at the Flamingo next year. The reason why we believe it's going to be at the Flamingo is CCP Falcon was posting on his Twitter account pictures of his rooms, and he was going to be staying at the Flamingo next. So it's pretty clear that he's scouting in his professional capacity for
Another
options
place
for next year. Yeah, exactly. And
anything's better than Link.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the party this year was great. The CCP party last year, a lot of people in the Imperium sort of stayed away from the official event, and I'm looking forward to sort of bringing the whole tribe together, because it doesn't feel good to have it's great to have Imperium Vegas, but it feels weird having a parallel event and having so many of our people just not even want to go near the official event, because a lot of us kind of got the impression that if you lean on the bar in the wrong way at the Link, that you get hepatitis. So exaggeration, of course, but it's just going to be nice to see it.
Dre's was better than I think what's that little place that they did the one year, the Eiffel Tower thing. It just felt bigger. For example, I remember with the Eiffel Tower thing, there was only 2 lines you could get into for drinks. The Dre's had 4, 5, 6 lines, along with waitresses coming around offering to get you drinks, and so it didn't feel like you had to stand in line for 30 minutes just to get one drink, and you had to carry 3 of them just to hope you got enough. At least with Dre's, it felt like you could actually enjoy yourself and talk to people and have a drink come to you.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, because they really sort of set the bar of a good mid-level casino with Planet Hollywood, because Planet Hollywood is not the fanciest thing ever, but the drinks are cheap. The go-go dancers are prevalent and attractive. It's got a good kind of trashy Vegas vibe, as opposed to with the Link, which was really just kind of gross. Yeah, somebody in chat is saying that the Flamingo is just as old as the Link is, but the Link really just has this arcane architecture to it. I don't know. We're just gonna have to get stuck in and find out.
The thing about the difference between the Link and the Flamingo is the Flamingo is an old casino who understands how to be a casino. It felt like the Link was just there to make money and didn't give a fuck who you were. For example, when it came to IDing people, anyone that was international had to wait 30 fucking minutes to get a drink. That is just sad.
I didn't even know that that was pretty ridiculous. Hyper Viper, you live in Vegas. Why don't you give us your view on the Flamingo versus the Link versus the other options on the Strip?
Well, I would say, obviously, as a local, you don't go down to the Strip that often, but when you do, you still take a look around. I've been to the Flamingo a few times, and it's actually pretty nice. I'm still a little smoky, but when last year when we went to the Link, I was in there. I was like, oh, I thought I heard the Link was pretty cool and whatever, but I was just really disappointed. I mean, even Treasure Island stuff like that felt better than what the Link was. So I mean, if they do that, or even Planet Hollywood again, those were both really nice places. So I would hopefully they'll keep it a Flamingo and keep it nice.
I mean, Morkfang, I understand you're being biased, because a lot of the Imperium leadership just sort of lives at the Cosmo when we're in Vegas.
Wait, what's the Vidara? I've never heard of that one.
Vidara, I believe, is one of the higher end ones. It's how the Mandalay Bay, and then they have the...
Oh, yeah, I know about Mandalay Bay. I didn't know about Vidara. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's sort of I think the Vidara is kind of like the Delano as a...
I see. That makes sense then. Yeah,
yeah, it's just a hotel.
The thing about the Cosmo, and again, I highly recommend, if you get the opportunity to stay at the Cosmo, even if it's not for Eve Vegas, if you just get the opportunity to stay at the Cosmo, it's a great place. The Their buffet is one of the top ones. It's a great place to have breakfast every morning. The staff
It's beautiful
pretty
too.
awesome. Yeah, it's very nice to look at, and the views are always wonderful from the Cosmo. You don't ever have to worry about like if you're gonna be looking at a wall.
It was really interesting. I got a place on the 69th floor, which
Yeah.
was nice, and just looking out on the balcony over the city, you'd see helicopters go by at basically like eye level. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't have a thing for heights, and Sadis, and I love Sadis. He's like, hey, let's go hang out on the balcony for 30 minutes, and that was an interesting experience. He reassured me
Sounds
that
about right.
yeah, he reassured me I wouldn't fall off, but I didn't believe him. My body didn't believe him either. But yeah, moving on. We have Eve things to talk about. We're halfway through here. Again, Vegas was interesting, but a lot of stuff has happened in the last couple weeks in Eve. Predominantly, while we were gone, I heard Snuff has left the Imperium for reasons, and I have no idea why.
They're just going back to the sick.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
Losec, but
Because
They've
we
gone-
won Eve.
Yeah, they've gone back to go and enjoy like just what Losec has to offer. I think they sort of their alliance is very much built around sort of chasing content, and that doesn't really gel too well with the whole Null Empire thing.
yeah, Celine told me the same thing in Vegas, that he felt like being up north and involved with Northern Coalition and all that was killing his alliance because they don't mind, they don't rat, and they just want to go do things. And so,
Yeah, the people who haven't really adapted to like Mercenary Coalition and a lot of the like Northern Coalition as well haven't really adapted to the idea of having to work to make money because the whole passive income thing got removed with R64s. But there was a lot of shakeups in the North in general. Like things seem to be having kind of an unraveling in the Northwest.
An understatement, I think.
and that brings us into a guy who hasn't talked very much since he's been here, Mr. Kendar. How is the North? Your time on the wall.
Fun, to say the least. They're quite. It's pretty good. Pretty good, actually. They're quite split at the minute. So talking about PH here, obviously, they're quite split at the minute. We're just for anyone on the stream that doesn't know, we're basically there's a group and a SIG in the Imperium that's deployed basically into FDZ and Geminet, and we've just been riding out and shooting mans as we do. But they're quite split at the minute between Geminet, Cavala, and also what's going on in Branch, with Branch taking the focus over anything in Geminet at all, really. So they'll hands down just leave stuff to burn to the ground if it's timed incorrectly and stuff like that. Some stuff they have showed resistance on, but not a lot, such as why we're like really stomping around, being a huge pain, I'm sure.
I heard that you obliterated a Sotillo recently in one of their like home areas, and that Sotillo was some valuable stuff inside it. Is that true?
Yeah, so obviously when you come to a region, one of the first things you want to do is take a look at all the structures and when they're timed, and we found a mistimed Scioto that was timed for the EUTZ, so we all started drooling a little bit over it. We put the initial ref in it so they'd fight us. They came for the armor timer and didn't really contest it. We didn't get a fight out of them, but they did show up for it. We did have more than them, to be fair. So that was not just SV that did that space balance. That was also Init and Snuff that showed up for that timer. So we put the thing into Hull. And we all know Scioto is a big thing at the end of the day. It could potentially be. And while it was in Hull, we confirmed that it got three supers and possibly a Titan building in it, which added to its value even more. So we thought, with them being distracted as they are between Branch and Geminet, we could probably have a real good swing at this. And we took it, had a real good swing at it, and it was killed by Space Violence in it, Snuff, and Test in the end. And it was contested, but there wasn't a huge fight over it. We had to. Obviously, it was also. I'll leave out the Imperium main fleet. They showed up as well to back us up. So there was a lot of us, really. I think about 1,700 in total is what local peaked.
Yeah.
But like I said, there wasn't a huge fight. So we just had to break into the system. Bob was on our side and gave the main fleet from ourselves a direct wormhole into system for 3 fleets to come through, 2 Jackdaw fleets and 1 Cerberus fleet. So I think that really caught them light off guard when that happened, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I heard that. I know for sure from chats with people that there was for sure a bunch of valuables in that thing. The extent of valuables after the fact, who knows? But the question that I have is,
there's a missing kill mail, right? Like we never actually
no,
found
there,
Yeah,
no
that's
kill mail was
a
there.
big thing.
We have. I think someone did message CCP about it, but one thing
I've petitioned it, but it's not going anywhere.
So someone here says, a guy named Service Charge says it was building a Komodo among other things, and you heard it here first. Big if true. I do know it was building an Avatar and 3 super carriers. That's what I know. But in terms of, oh hey Jay Mazinus, you can stop by if you want. Tell us. But my question is this: is NC and Horde are not blue? They reset each other. But then I was told, right as you were about to do your thing, Kendar and NC and PL had their Titans and Supers ready to come on in and save it. Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. So obviously we all formed up. NC formed up. They bought a Cerberus fleet and a regular capital fleet to begin with. PL as well, but PL didn't really form too much. Don't know what that was going on there with. And I think when they realised that like shit was getting real for them with the forces that were showing up to deal with this, they started to scramble Titans and super carriers. But when NC were coming, as they were coming, they were added back onto the ACL for PH structures. So it really does question you what is going on in the north, because it's like, oh, we're going to reset PH, but really we're going to help them out when they need our help. I mean, we are their mortal enemy at the end of the day. They're always going to want to shoot us over everybody else, granted, but it is very, very confusing, let's say, from an outside looking in.
Yeah. And
well, life as a blue troll is
yeah.
They've always spent all this time talking about how they don't like the blue donut or whatever, but they themselves outnumber us in total and always blew up at the slightest opportunity to fight us. So
Villy, what do you think of that? I mean, a lot of people at Vegas who are both hostiles and blue to us feel that the North is play fighting. They're not really taking this seriously, except for one guy in particular named Gobbins, who really does think that he's going to conquer the North. But what do you think about this? I mean, after especially hearing what Kendar just said.
I think you're in a situation where the previous hierarchy has been disrupted. There was no question who is in charge of the pandemic block 3 months ago. Vince Draken. Now, everything is in question. You have had Pandemic Horde and Black Legion, and to some degree, Pandemic Legion, have decided that they're going to make their own way by cannibalizing GOTG. NC Dot initially said no, that's not okay, and to some degree seemed willing to work with GOTG against the Pandemic Legion minigroup. And now, what you're seeing is a situation where NC Dot may be thinking that they are unable to survive without those 3 entities as part of their block and are now submitting to their direction. It's an incredibly variable situation, and I don't know how it's going to play out in the end. What I do know is that Gobbins has made a play that instead of supporting anyone else, he's going to kill GOTG so that he can have safe Rorqual mining in Branch.
Villy, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just got a message from a very anonymous, very trustworthy source, a very anonymous source, and I need your opinion on this. Tomorrow...
Sounds like there's breaking news. What's up?
Tomorrow, Vince Draken will be resetting GOTG.
Well, there you go.
What do you think of that?
I will not comment or confirm or deny any boat-breaking news about tractors that may or not have gotten hit.
No! This just to preempt me. Like, usually when this guy messages me on Discord, it's extremely accurate, and I take what he says very seriously, because he's been accurate the last 2 years. But I've been told that this is happening tomorrow. We'll find out tomorrow, obviously. But big if true, because...
well, if true, it effectively creates a situation where GOTG is on their own. And if GOTG is on their own, there is no hope for GOTG and Branch.
Yeah.
The question will be, are they going to be farmed in Declan? Are they going to be allowed to live in Declan? What will be the scoop? And I don't know if that's true. And I don't know if that is, but it would certainly represent, just as I was predicting a few seconds before you said that, a realignment of the hierarchy and who's in charge and who is going to lead the direction of the pandemic block up north, in which case it would now be either Elo Knight or Gobbins. Yeah. Traditionally, Gobbins has not been the strategic mastermind, to say the least, but with Elo kind of acting as their military, what do you call it, elite force or vanguard, they've certainly they're certainly significantly better than they were.
The reason I ask, and Mittens, maybe you can comment this, and the reason I ask is Gobbins said at Vegas to me that he felt that the Northern Coalition leadership was weak, and they couldn't stop him from doing what he was going to do to GOT anyway. So if Vince just says, fuck it, I'm resetting you GOTG, bye, what does that do to the game now? Because that just basically just kills GOTG, doesn't it?
Well, I can't, because of the rules of autocrat diplomacy, I can't speak to any of the conversations that I had
with
of course. other autocrats when I was at Vegas. I will say that it seems like a classic situation where Black Legion is currently harvesting Horde for talent and basically setting up a talent funnel.
Yeah.
Where Horde has hired Black Legion, and Black Legion is basically doing to Horde what Pandemic Legion used to do to Test and to Brave. So that's an interesting dynamic. I think that there is a power vacuum. You see Headliner is functionally the leader of Pandemic Legion now, and there have been some issues there. Doom Chinchilla loudly flounced away from Vegas because people said mean things to him, and he couldn't possibly handle that, which was just sort of adorable from an old school player perspective. I think that it's not just that there's a power vacuum from Vince being less active, but if it's true that NC Dot is going to be resetting Guardians of the Galaxy, then the question is who's in charge of NC. If Vince is away, is Vince coming back? Is Lady Scarlet going to be basically managing that alliance? There's a tremendous number of questions, and in the midst of all these questions, there's a bunch of people making mistakes and putting their cards on the table way too early. You see people playing the game incautiously in the Northwest, and it's a curious position. Like, it does seem like they have just created a circular firing squad, which obviously from an Imperium perspective is ideal.
Yeah, that's great for us.
To see these guys doing this. Also, what's great for us is Cool Kids Club. So I'm going to turn subscribers only mode. As you guys know, who are veterans of the Meta Show, we take questions from subscribers, and we try to, if you have questions for the guests and things like that, we will fold those into the show.
That is, you make up an interesting point, because it felt like there were certain people at Vegas, I won't drop names, that were leaky sieves in a way that I would never expect them to be. They shared things with me that's like, why the fuck would you ever tell me this? Because like you just said, autocrats don't discuss diplomacy. Like, people that are leaders don't talk about what other leaders are talking about with them. And it just felt like there was a lot of people at Vegas who would just be like, hey, Boat, this thing's going on. And it's like, wait, what? Hold on a second. Hold on. Why are you showing me this?
Well, some people haven't really learned how the rules of the game at the top level are played. I mean, it's sort of there's a small club of people, probably about 25 to 30, probably less than that these days, but let's just say 15 to 20 human beings who play EVE that adhere to sort of the rules of our weird little society, right?
Yeah.
Like when you have an autocrat gets in trouble, they need a couch. A lot of the weird deals that happen in EVE happen because there is one big smoke-filled back room that most of us jerks who've been trying to kill each other or be allied with each other one way or another off and on for, like a decade now are part of. So it is very curious when you see somebody who's relatively new with a seat at that table who comes in and violates those rules right off the bat.
Yeah, that's not, well, it's not shocking with certain people. But moving on, we have one more key thing to talk about, and that is we don't normally talk future plans here for us or anyone as a whole, but EVE is shaping up to have an interesting winter. Winter is usually when Eve is most populated, December, January, February, because people are stuck at home. It's not summertime, so all the Europeans are back at home working. Summertime, a lot of Europeans, especially French goons, disappear during the summer. So it's shaping up to be a very interesting couple of months coming up. I, for one, am deploying NGSA again to a very public place that's going to upset a couple of people when they arrive. Not in this channel, because I like these people. But, hi, goblins. But the question is... but the question is, all right, what is...
I wonder where you're going, Bo.
I wonder! But in the next couple of months, what happens up north? That's what I want to know. I think our viewers would love to know.
I mean, my take on it is whenever you see a power vacuum, you see a lot of consolidation, right? One of the things that our enemies have had trouble with in numbers of wars over many years now is that they don't have a central leader figure, right? In one of the advantages of the way that the Imperium works is that there's one jerk in a red shirt in charge where the buck stops, and that means that when we go to war, there's like this whole chain of command that has been refined one way or another, for better or for worse, over a really long time. And what you're seeing now is the North had trouble working together in a number of these fights. Like you would see things like during the X-47 battles where like CO2 would give an order to like dock up or disengage or what have you, and basically they just weren't working together with their allies. And now you're seeing the effect of this, that these guys have just decided to start killing each other because it turns out that they dislike each other just as much as they dislike Goonswarm. So I think you're going to see a lot of consolidation. I think that there's a lot of people who are in the northwestern quadrant of the galaxy that are in organizations that are hostile to the Imperium or to Legacy Coalition. They don't like Test, they don't like Goons, but they have never had to fight each other in any real sense. And I think a lot of these alliances are going to collapse. You're going to see some of them consolidate into each other, and it's just going to be a ugly, messy time. And I'm just going to have to stock up on popcorn over here.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see because, again, I've told people this at Vegas, and I'll announce it here. I'll still be on the Meta Show in November, but my time in EVE is going to be extremely limited from like mid-November till March. Because I will be really, really busy with real life. So I probably won't be playing EVE as much as I like because of that. Like I'll still be on the Meta Show and doing other things. But we do have a few things we want to share real quick. We did have some images come out of Vegas. I forgot to bring them up during our Vegas talk. So here's the first one. This is a wonderful image of the bar right as you entered our party on Thursday night. This is what you were met with. They had every kind of soda you can imagine right before the bar because, as you know, a drunken goon needs to hydrate. And everything was themed, and it was really well done, by the way.
It was a fantastic party. Hyper Viper and Sadis really put on an amazing show. I was blown away. And also a 4-hour-long open bar for the Imperium is impressive. They were able to keep up with us. The drinks were super strong. There was they had themed drinks, one of which was a Martini, and I was like, oh well, this is a drink that's named after me, I should get it. And it was just a cup full of vodka. Like it was a vodka martini that was basically just, here's a plastic cup full of vodka with like a lime in it or something.
Yeah,
and I was
so
like, I
well,
can't
here's-
handle this.
Here's the thing that happened with that. Oh, go ahead, Shingley.
So there's the other one as well called the Commissar, just like 6 or so shots of just various things, like the tiniest little like drip of Coke, and just oh my god.
Coca-Cola, by the way, please clarify. Some people.
Yeah, it was the.
that.
It was a Long Island iced tea. Because of a nominate wanting to Commissar and Wibla. And I had a lot more other drinks planned, but it got hectic at the end. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do these couple drinks. The Martini, I didn't realize they didn't have olive juice mins. So when they said like, what's this? I was like, oh, that's a martini. And they're like, oh, well, we don't have olive juice. And so I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? She's like, I can just put a bunch of vodka in a cup. I was like, that works.
Literally, okay, so it wasn't even like there weren't. I thought it was just strongly mixed or something. And
So it wasn't even a real martini. It was just
It's
a cup of
literally
vodka.
just a cup of vodka. And I remember like discussing this with Marana, and she just said in chat, she ended up like pouring it into being a mixer with 2 other drinks, and it was still ridiculously strong because it's literally just a cup of vodka. Wow.
I also want to add that, again, I don't reveal names of people that I love spending time with in Vegas, but there was at least one person there who was so wonderfully enjoying himself that I don't think I understood a word he said for about an hour straight, and it was the greatest enjoyment of smiles of the party. And it was just hilarious because it was like, I was standing there with Sadis, it's like, Sadis, you talk to my man here. He tries to discuss things, and it's just globbly-goop, and it was wonderful, and it made my night. I won't.
Yeah,
he knows who he is, but it was great.
Yeah, my biggest thing is like, because I've spent a number of months negotiating, vendors, the venue, all that stuff, and when they told me what they could do for 4 hours open bar, and I was like, are you sure? I was literally shocked. I was like, so I ended up, because I was concerned, the first biggest party that I've thrown for the Imperium, and I'm like, the last thing I need is them to run out of alcohol, because that would be horrible.
That would be a fucking crisis.
Oh,
yeah. So on top of that, I had behind the counter where the Rep Swarm drinks were, I had like 13 or 15 liters of liquor as backup, just in case, the bar's like, oh, well, we ran out.
Did you get to take
I
that
was
home?
not going to let that happen. Yeah.
Okay. Dude, I saw some bottles of like Patron and like a giant bottle of Grey Goose. And
that was them. That was them. They had like Black Label, Johnny Walker Black Label. I was like, they're like, is this all right? I'm like, dude, like, sure, that's great.
Okay. So I just got this added to my list of confirmed things. Apparently, everything that dropped out of that Sotillo that was killed by the North, or in the North in Y8R, was everything you would need to build a Komodo.
So when you kill it, obviously it drops in stacks, and the stacks match perfectly to what is required on a Komodo BPC. For example, there was 400 drone bays, I think it was, is what my guys are telling me the evidence is. So it does seem that there was a Komodo in build in that structure.
So a Leviathan I think only needs like 325, and a Komodo needs more. So, yeah!
Good kill. Good kill.
Wonderful. And then, go ahead. Sorry, Hyper, when I get messaged, interesting breaking news.
It's alright. Squirrel.
Yeah, Squirrel, I'm sorry. I'm not sick anymore, so that's good.
Yeah, so that was fun. It's a lot of things just trying to, I didn't want to make it too, dumb Eve stuff, but I wanted to have, like, flavor text and, like, the little signs for each table, little different SIGs and squads and jabber channels, and some of the Saturday Night Swarm guests that we've had. It was kind of nice, and the accordion guy, and then Mind One DJing the last half of the party remotely via Twitch.
I will say though, and I will add this, that there were a lot of people that liked the little touches. That seemed to be the most popular bit, were the little things. Like I said, when we saw that image of Rep Swarm, there was a lot of little things. A lot of goons who didn't make the party were really jealous of the fact that we had challenge coins that were custom made.
Nominate made the challenge coins, and
right? And
like I had a moment when Nominate brought that to me, and he handed it to me, and all of them were numbered. And there's something very real about getting a challenge coin. I mean, this is also partially, I'm not a military guy myself, but Goonswarm has just this ridiculously disproportionate number of military dudes, veterans, or whatever. And so, when the challenge coins came out, shit got real. And when I looked at mine and I saw that mine was number 1, 001, I was like, I had a little emotional moment. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think CCP Falcon got one. We gave one to Falcon. We gave one to Karakor. I think she got number 62 or something like that. So I thought that was really cool, and they actually really liked them and were jealous. Also, I want to point out that for those, what's a challenge coin? Real quick, challenge coins are just coins or objects that, I can tell them. I had to explain this to a bunch of people. Okay, challenge coins.
If you're in a military organization, the commander of that organization or unit will give coins to members of that unit to kind of, how do I put this?
Prove that you're a part of it.
Well, no, not to prove that you're part of it. Usually they're given in terms of exceptional service, or, you do something exceptional, here's a coin, or in my experience, coins.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mini medal, I guess you could say. And anybody, that receives a coin usually is doing so because they deserve a little bit of recognition. It's a really professional and cool thing to do. I know anytime I've ever received a coin, it's been pretty interesting moment.
Yeah,
And,
so they were
certainly like the fact that you guys have your own coins is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it was really amazing. Also, another thing of note, of where was I going? God, Goons saved the day. Oh, hey, thanks, Cork is God. Cork is God was at Vegas. He's a cool guy. He was fun to hang out with. His name's Lifeender. He's giving out subs. Wow, 13 subs to this channel he's giving out. Thank you, sir. But Goons actually saved Vegas. I don't know if many people outside of Vegas knew about this, but CCP got held up at customs with all of their stuff. All of it. Every piece of equipment was stuck in customs. And one of the goons, I guess, knows someone.
It was Commander Aze. Is he in Goonstorm now or something?
I don't know. They said it was a goon.
He was.
I think it was Falcon that said it was a goon, but someone told me privately it was a goon. But anyway, the point is, he called DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and was like, look, I need this shit delivered to Vegas now. Release it. Make it so. And it was done. Commander, he's in Bastion.
He's in the
Commander
Bastion.
Yeah, he's in Bastion.
Yeah,
so he made a phone call. He's like, look, I need this stuff. It needs to get here. You guys got it. Release it, please. Help me out.
Yeah.
And
I want to give a shout out here that Paramedic brought up is that Nominate had the coins made, but it was Aron on the couch. We often call him Guy on the couch because it's easier to say from Minitrue, who designed the challenge coins that we love so much. So mad props there.
He works for FEMA apparently, and he made some phone calls.
Let's not give all of his personal details out on the Meta Show.
No, they're just typing it.
Official.
He's done it on podcast for our Meta shows.
Oh, I see. If he said it.
Yes, that's why I'm saying it. I'm repeating chat.
Right, I'm sorry.
Even with that said, Boat, generally, like, just because somebody said something personal in one place doesn't mean they.
Yeah. Okay, well, moving forward. It was really awesome, and CCP gave him a very nice shout out for it, and a lot of things like that, because it really saved Vegas. A lot of times it's a lot easier to bring all the equipment in with you because you already own it than it is to rent equipment at location. So that was cool. But yeah, that's about it. Anything else we want to talk about? Make fun of people, ruin people? Like, is there anything...
I think if anybody has any last questions, I mean, Riker is a fluffy werewolf. I think we have...
Oh, I saw him in Vegas, too. He was cool.
But anyway, so yeah, thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate it. It's good to be back in action here from my new undisclosed location. And, we're not doing the Meta Show from a Vegas booth. I thought that was really cool last week.
Did you let them know we're broadcasting straight from the Perimeter Keepstar?
I meant to ask you, how is that going, by the way? How's your Keepstar going?
It's going well.
How was that, by the way? That was literally one of the reasons we brought you on here. Fuck, we forgot.
Yes, I'm tracking.
How was Perimeter? Like, how was that experience? Like, just forming up on a
How was the experience of just endlessly shooting all of Horde's high-sec structures?
Yes. How did it feel?
It was about as exciting as shooting, your enemy structure is in any other region except in high-sec. Really use bombs or any of the good, normal tactics to be a pain in the ass.
Right, but what about the knowledge that you're the first person to ever drop a Keepstar in high-sec?
We're the first coalition to ever drop a Keepstar in high-sec, yeah. We got a big pair of brass balls. When we roll big, Not afraid to... to be honest, this is literally Matterall's Keepstar. Like, we were on talking stations.
He said it
and it's like, and I was like... Yeah, we were talking on the show. He's like, "Oh yeah, and I got these 2 Keepstars." We're like, "You got a Keepstar, eh? You want to sell it?" It's like, "Yes, so we'll talk later." I'm like, "No, talk now." We anchored it like an hour later, as soon as we could get it.
I hear he knows the Mittani.
Yeah, he actually during his wonderful presentation that I attended at FanFest, he mentioned that. Oh, by the way, that Keepstar, yeah, it was a gift from me.
A gift, a very fucking expensive gift.
That's
So an NC dude sold Legacy a Keepstar for them to conquer Highsec.
And kill Horde!
2 Keepstars.
And kill Pandemic Horde. Yes!
That's a good cause, though. I mean, I think we could all get behind. I mean, after all, NCDOT did reset Pandemic Horde, so it's consistent with their new diplomacy.
I love Matterall. Matterall's a great guy. He's fun to hang out with.
I don't know. Honestly, like, as far as it goes, I'll just say this. the denizens of HiSec for a long time have been denied, some of the more cool aspects of EVE, like Keepstars and stuff. They've been denied for a long time a functional and trustworthy market. They can safely trade Plex in with the security provided to them by people like us. What we're doing here is for the good of all EVE. We're taking, some services that need to be provided for the little guy, and we're making them accessible. We're not doing any of this fucking horde extortion shit. And I'm like sort of memeing, but here's the thing. When we actually got into negotiations with these like I choose you people and all this, literally they were like, I'll pay you this. I'll just extort people more. I'll find more ways to milk that cow. And I'm like, no, dude, we want to fucking make these people love us. This is public relations. This is all about helping the little guy. They didn't get it all. They were just like, we'll find new ways to extort them. We'll do it. And it's like, no.
I will say this as I speak two things real quick. One, Susie Mudstone points out that challenge coins in the military are a big, big fucking deal. They're considered ultra-personal recognition from a commanding individual to another person. So, bigger than medals. And also, I've been pointed out, as always on the Meta Show, what timing, GOTG is doing their State of the Coalition as the show ends.
That is, it seems to happen all the time.
Seems to happen all the time.
We can't time slot.
We can't talk about it
until next week. They don't want to have live breaking news happen during the Meta Show because.
Are you gonna do like a live stream, like where you sit and talk as there's streams going on? And
hey, we can do it right after this.
Look at what Sort just said. Look at what Sort just said again. I would pay to listen to that.
Well, that means we'd have to have someone actually listening to the.
Sure, I'll do the play-by-play, and I'll be like. And now, Sort is talking about their political future, and you'll be like, ah ha ha ha!
If you
and then you'll be like, but then they're gonna announce this, ah ha ha ha! It would be hilarious, Bode. Come on, you gotta do it.
It's a strictly. Do we have any shows after this? I don't think we do. So I mean, we can do this. Mitch, you want to stick around?
Make it happen.
Look, they intentionally hold this fucking thing right when the Meta Show ends to purposely dodge us. Okay, they do it because they know we will talk about it.
All right, Bodie, I'll talk or what? You gonna do it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's right now. Come on, Billy.
I'm happy for it. Let's do
go,
it.
Billy.
The stream over again. I'm gonna be out of here because I got something that I gotta scamper off and do.
Just gotta provide the live
subscribers off, so
I got
you guys can.
Okay, bye. If you want to stick around, we're gonna make a broadcast about this. Let's do this. Billy's gonna give us the play-by-play.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Let's do it.
Thanks. Oh, what a.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the Meta. The Meta controls everything.